This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning and welcome to the Handicappers Report. I am Jeff Carl, and for the moment I am flying solo. My co-host Seth Merrill stuck in traffic on his way here to Albany. So for the time being, I will just kind of give you an update on what's going on in racing. Then we'll be starting with Tampa Bay Downs. I'll give you my selections for today's Tampa Bay races. A little bit later when Seth arrives, he'll give you his picks for Gulfstream. But again, another very frigid morning here in the Capital District, 10 below in my car when I got in Saratoga. So again, there's just some issues out there with some traffic. Seth will be here as soon as he can. Not an awful lot going on in the world of racing to get caught up on this morning. I would have to expect with the impending storm coming, there will be some cancellations tomorrow on the East Coast. I would have to assume that Parks and Laurel will not be open tomorrow. But today, I think we have a full slate of racetracks open, but keep posted to the way it's going to be for tomorrow. Just a couple of quick things before I get started onto the Tampa Bay Downs. I want to talk about the nice races they had at Gulfstream Park. Lee captures the Don Handicap. I thought it was very interesting. It was nice to see the new network, Fox Sports 1, with their broadcast. Just a couple quick thoughts on there. Number one, it was good to see our NYRA boys, Richard Migliore and Andy Serling, on the broadcast. Thought they did a tremendous job. Very, very nice to see horse racing in HD. The picture quality was fabulous. I think Lee ran a dynamite race. I think he's in fabulous hands right now with trainer Billy Mott. We'll have to see how he moves forward. And then, of course, I didn't think Will Take Charge lost anything in defeat, a racetrack that he probably didn't exactly doesn't exactly fit his running style, but was a very game second in his four-year-old debut. So you'd have to think that the handicap division's pretty strong. It was announced this morning that Palace Malice, last year's Belmont and Jim Dandy winner, is planning on making his four-year-old debut in the Gulfstream Park Handicap coming up on March 8th. He was spent most of the winter in the Aiken Training Center, then was sent to trainer Todd Pletcher beginning of January. He's had some solid works in him, so we can expect Belmont winner Palace Malice in the Gulfstream Park Handicap coming up in March. A couple other things: Vickers in Trouble, who won the Lecomte in his last race, breezed in preparation for the Risen Star Stakes on February 22nd, owned by the Ken and Sarah Ramsey. Worked very well, so he's moving forward. Son of Into Mischief is probably the leader coming out of Louisiana right now, but we have a lot of remains to be seen. The one thing I noticed in Vickers in Trouble's race that they had in Lecomte, that he won quite easily, but I wasn't really thrilled with the way he gets over the racetrack. This is like a horse kind of pounds the ground a little bit, so we have to see if the attrition of the Triple Crown Trail gets to him and if he's going to be able to hold up. But again, it's a very interesting crop of 3-year-olds. It was announced that Honor Code will be breezing at some point coming up very soon. Let me see if I can pull that up for you. I don't have it here, but I did see it somewhere. Honor Code, trained by Shug McGahee. He's had a little bit of a setback, had some rear ankle issues. He was at Payson Park. Trainer Shug McGahee said, let's bring him over to Gulfstream Park. Maybe he'll handle it better. But it was a little bit of light training, but he's going to be getting back to the work tab very, very soon. So no plans as of yet where he'll be making his 3-year-old debut, but at least it's a good sign that Honor Code is back in serious training. So that's really about it as far as racing news. Again, just with the weather coming up, right as of today, we haven't seen any cancellations. Don't expect it because the storm is kind of to the south, but as of tomorrow, you'd have to think that most of the East Coast tracks will be canceled. But why don't we just jump into today's Tampa Bay Downs card. We have a 9-race card. The opener is 5.5 furlongs. It is a maiden claiming event for 4 and up. The claiming price is $8,000. In this race, I went 1, 2, and 5. The number 1, Nearly Irish, my top choice. I think he'll benefit a great deal from his career debut on December 21st. Displayed speed that day. I went back and looked at that race, and because he was disqualified and placed 9th. And what happened was, he showed speed, and he was starting to tire as they turned for home. Horse blew by him on the outside, and he kind of overreacted and darted toward the rail, and he bothered the horse toward the inside. But at that point, he was starting to tire anyway. But also after that incident, the rider didn't really push him all that hard down the lane, just got him across got him down the lane and got him across the wire. But I think he's going to benefit a great deal from that race. The same rider comes back. They're going to add blinkers. And obviously, he's going to have to send from the 1 hole. But he did show speed last time with the blinkers on. Hopefully, he'll run straighter. Hopefully, he'll be a little bit tighter. So at 6-1, let's put Nearly Irish into the top spot. And for second, the number 2, Seeking a Babe. Seeking a Babe was a good second when he was dropped to this level on January 19th. He had been racing maiden special weight at Suffolk, which is a pretty easy spot. Then came to Tampa, tried 12.5, didn't run well. Dropped down to 8,000, only got beat a couple lengths that day. So let's put him in the second spot, coming right back for that $8,000. And for third to number 5, Unlock It. He's only had 1 good race out of 4 last year at Indiana Downs, and that was his second start of his career way back in August, where he showed speed, tired, and finished third. Then really regressed. His next race, he got beat 25 lengths. And then his next race, he got beat 28 lengths when they tried to stretch him out to the mile. But there's a couple things in his comment line that he bobbled in that race where he got beat 25 lengths, and he jumped a shadow in the backstretch subsequently. So things just really weren't going well for the son of Keat Entry. But they've given him some time off, and now he's coming back, going to make his first start over the Tampa Bay racetrack. He's 20-1 in the morning line. I just went back to that one race where he did run good, and maybe the time off has helped him a little bit. So at 20-1, let's throw him in the mix. 1, 2, and 5 in the Tampa Bay first race. Let's move along to race number 2 at Tampa Bay Downs. It is 6 furlongs. It is a claiming event for fillies and mares 4 and up, which have never won 3 races. The claiming price is $12,500. And in this race, it was kind of hard for me to go past the top 3 morning line choices. Either way you put them, I just think they're the best 3 in the race. I ended up going 4, 2, and 5. The number 4, My Diamond Girl, wired Herfield and Never Win 2 Life for 12.5, so this is the next logical step up to Never Win 3 Life. That was on January 29th, so it's coming back in relatively quick fashion. And again, just moving up from Never Win 2 Life to Never Win 3 Life. As I said, it's hard for me to go past the top 3 choices. Ronnie Allen rode My Diamond Gal last time. He's going to ride her again today, always a good sign. For second, I went to number 2, Morse Code Mama. She was second for Never Win 3 Life for $16,000. That was on January 22nd. Yeah, she's moving down to 12.5, but I can't think that's much more than just a parallel move. Like I said, it can't be much of a difference between $16,000 Never Win 3 Life and $12.5 Never Win 3 Life. Don't we talk about a few $1,000s, and I don't think there's that much of a difference. So a repeat performance by Morse Code Mama definitely puts her in the picture. And for third, I took the number 5, Take What You Can. Very simply finished a neck behind Morse Code Mama coming out of that same race on January 22nd. As I said, the only thing I saw was, again, no real surprises here. The top 3 morning line horses look like the top 3 that figure. Maybe you could throw in the number 6, Venus de Milo, who made her first start coming off a layoff on January 3rd. Showed speed and stopped that day. You'd have to think that race benefited. So if you wanted to go 4 deep in this race, which you can with their superfecta, those are the only 4 you could possibly put in here, because I didn't see anybody else that looks like they could jump up and be in the picture. But my top 3 are 4, 2, and 5 in the Tampa Bay second race. Let's move along to race number 3 at Tampa Bay Downs. It is a claiming event going 1 mile and 40 yards. This is for 4 and up, which have not won a race since August 12th. I'm assuming of 2013. They don't have that designated, but I'm assuming that's of 2013. The claiming price is $5,000. I went 4, 8, and 1 here. The number 4, Ultra Pasando, is your 8-5 morning line favorite, and it should be. He was second in a non-conditional race for $6,250, which means that was an open race. There was no condition like this where there hasn't won a race in a certain amount of time. So you'd have to think the field was a little bit tougher. That was just on February 1st. So it was also claimed that day. New Connection is going to bring this horse right back. Going to run for $5,000. Haven't won a race since August 30th. And maybe today will be his cure for second-itis. His last 3 starts, he has finished second. So maybe today will be just enough with a, again, it's not an open race. It's a conditional claiming race. Should make the difference. That'll put Ultra Passando into the top spot. For second, I went to the number 8 Romantic Channel. Who's your most logical opponent? Finished second in a similar race, going a mile and a 16th on January 29th, and that was a stretch out from 7 furlongs. Was kind of really very close to the pace that day. Was a distant second by 5 3/4 lengths, but you'd have to think today Romantic Channel will be a little bit tighter, and is probably the most logical upsetter, the number 4 Ultra Passando. So I'm going to go 4-8. And then for third, I went down to the inside, to the number 1 Wildcat Prince, who, again, probably needed his last race, like I mentioned that horse in race number 2, because he hadn't run since June at Fort Erie. And when he came back on February 2nd, he took a little bit of money. He was just under 3-1, showed some speed, but stopped very, very badly, going 7 furlongs. If you look back, he did win a similar race like this way back last year in April at Tampa Bay Downs, 5,000 that haven't won in a year. My only question about Wildcat Prince was, is that race, did it make him tight enough for this mile and 40 yards? Because he did tire quite bad. Like, it wasn't like he hung in there and finished a good third. He finished 7th by 11.5 lengths. But I think he'll run a little bit farther this time. And at 5-1, let's put him into the third spot. So in Tampa Bay Downs' third race, I'm going to go 4, 8, and 1. Moving along to race number 4 at Tampa Bay Downs. 7 furlongs. It is a maiden claiming event. For 4 and up, the claiming price is $12,500 down to $10,000. I went 2-4 with the 1 entry here. The number 2 Camp Floyd. I'm thinking this horse was probably purchased at the Saratoga Fall Sale they had last year. I think it's a Darley cast-off. That day they had a lot of horses of racing age, of Darley horses, that don't fit their profile. They like high-caliber horses. Even though this horse has the pedigree to be a high-caliber horse, doesn't always work out. So I'm guessing that this was a purchase out of that sale. The New Connections took this horse down to Tampa Bay Downs, which seemingly would be a good fit. They tried him twice at maiden 25,000 on the turf, and he just still wasn't quite good enough. If I look back, his best race of his career, he had spent some of his career in Great Britain. Best race of his career was going 7.5 furlongs on a synthetic racetrack at Wolverhampton. I don't know what kind of synthetic that is, but it was the best race of his career. He only got beat a nose that day. So maybe he will be able to dirt. He's by Street Cry out of a Salt Lake mare, so definitely dirt pedigree is definitely there. So let's go with the number 2 Camp Floyd at 9-2 in the top spot with the drop down and the switch to the main track. For second, I have the number 4 Time Thief 2, who's 3-2 in your morning line, and he's dropping down from 20,000. Best race of his career was 2 starts back at Gulfstream Park for maiden 25,000, where he finished 3rd that day. They tried him on the turf subsequently, and he set the pace but tired. And now they're bringing him over to Tampa Bay Downs, where he did run last year in a few races, but wasn't, at the $32,000 level. But he's never run on the Tampa Bay main track, and to me that is a little bit of an issue, which is why I'm going against him. He's not even training over it. The number 2 Camp Floyd, my top choice, at least he's training over it, and it was my experience several years ago when I was down at Tampa Bay Downs that if you didn't train over the racetrack, you definitely needed a race over it to get your horse accustomed to it. As we've said here many times on Handicappers Report, that it is, Tampa Bay Downs main track's a little bit tricky. So having a race over or training over it is real big, which is why I kind of lean toward the number 2 Camp Floyd into the top spot. So I went 2-4, and then to try to make things interesting for triple, I went to the 1 entry, who are a couple of first-time starters. I'm assuming both of them will not run because jockey Scott Spieth is on both of these horses, so you'd have to think either they're going to name a rider or they're going to take one of them out. I'm hopeful they take out the first-time starter because there's not a lot to go on there. But the plain one, Shogun Rao, is going to be adding blinkers off a career debut on January 31st for this 12-5 where he kind of ran evenly. But again, they should benefit a great deal from having a race under his belt. Blinkers on today. Hopefully he's the one that runs part of the entry, so let's put him into the top spot. So it's 2 for 1 entry in the Tampa Bay Downs 4th race. Let's move along to race number 5 at Tampa Bay Downs, which is a claiming event going 6.5 furlongs. It's for 4 and up, which have never won 3 races, and I went 3, 5, and 4 here. The number 3, Ardency, just rolled through those first 2 conditions at Tampa Bay Downs. Broke his maiden for 8,000 back in mid-December, which is his first start this year over the racetrack. And then he won his never won 2 life quite easily. And then he had a wide trip second in this 8,000 never won 3 life. He's posted down toward the inside today, so I don't expect him to get hung out there today. Jockey Harry Vega aboard, very, very capable journeyman rider. So 2-1 in the morning line. Again, this is a race I didn't see an awful lot of surprises. I went to the number 5, Golden Beach Boy, in the 2nd spot. This is another one that seems to like Tampa Bay Downs. Couldn't get his maiden broke at Gulfstream Park. Came to Tampa Bay Downs on December 21st, broke his maiden for 8,000. Again, he went and got right through his never won 2 life for 8,000 in his subsequent start. So again, he's in good form. Let's go 3, 5, and for 3rd, the number 4, Gin Tracker, who is exiting the same race as Ardency, and he also raced wide that day. So again, a couple wide trips hurt the 3 and 4 last time, but they're posted toward the inside today. Hopefully they'll get better ground-saving trips and be able to be on the board. 3, 5, and 4 in the Tampa Bay Downs 5th race. We're going to take our first break, and when we come back, I will be joined by Seth Merrill, who has arrived in the studio, thank goodness. So please stay tuned. You're watching the OTB TV Network.
I'm Seth Merrill. Join me weekdays at 10 for Racing Across America. We'll look at important races from around the country, get insight from top handicappers and analysts, and preview the upcoming week in racing. That's Racing Across America, weekdays at 10, right here on the OTB TV Network. The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right. The 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Shamrock Showdown on March 1st. So sign up today, online at capitalotb.com, or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
I got it. Watch me. I got it. Hey! I got something that makes me want to shout. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got a move that tells me what to do. If you don't, brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Seth Merrill has arrived, and Jeff Carl here on this Wednesday morning. Jeff in for Anthony Mormino this morning. And Jeff, I apologize for the late start. Went out, the car was dead as a doornail this morning. Was it the cold weather? No, it was the cold brain. I thought, it turned and nothing happened. And I thought, wow, even the cold weather, it seems like. And I reached up slowly, and I left the lights on when I got out of the car yesterday. So And I had to kind of sit there. I got a charger. I didn't have anybody available to jump me, so I had to wait for the charger to do its business, which took about 45 minutes. And so, but I'm here. I have arrived.
It is good to have you here, Mr. Seth.
Luckily, with your experience, you held down the first portion of the program very well and did the first 5 at Tampa this afternoon. I'm going to look at Gulfstream a little later on, but we'll continue our look at Tampa for today. Their 6th race is a maiden claimer, $45,000 to $50,000 tags. These are 3-year-old fillies. They're going to go a quick 5.5.
I went 3, 5, and 1 here. The number 3, Talent and Grace. Talent and Grace ran a couple weeks ago. I know because I was sitting in here that day for Anthony also, and was second to a nice first out maiden winner, Estuary, who Rich Grunder called Estuary, but it is Estuary, and I did have her pick that day. But the number 3, Talent and Grace, was a very, very good second, which I thought was an excellent debut race for this daughter of Talent Search. Kind of ran nice and evenly, but never really gave up completely. And you know what? She showed a lot of determination that day, coming back in the exact same spot for $50,000. Again, just having a race under their belt does so much for a horse. There's only so much you can do in the mornings to duplicate it. So I'm going to put the number 3, Talent and Grace, into the top spot. For second, I went to the number 5, To the Flag. 6 starts in her career in 3 seconds. Those are all on the other side of the state, over at Calder Race Course in Gulfstream Park. So again, this is the first time that this horse will be running at Tampa Bay Downs, which I think is very, very key, because not only is it the first time, but she still has been training at Calder Race Course for Kathleen O'Connor. That's where I think her primary outfit is. Again, her best race was a second for $50,000 at Calder in December. And again, was second for $32,000 coming back in January. So it should fit this level. My question mark, again, this is the first time that this filly has run over the Tampa Bay track, hasn't been training over it. So I'm going to take the horse with the experience over the track, Talent and Grace, over the number 5, To the Flag. And for third, I went with the number 1, Fab Autumn Girl, who's a firster coming out of the Jimmy Gulick barn. And quick story time here, Mr. Seth. When I was first started out in this business, growing up near Binghamton, I wasn't sure exactly how to get started in this business. My stepmother had mentioned that, or had a friend of hers that knew something about racing, said Ocala, Florida was a good place to start. And I sent a letter, just a blanket letter, to the Ocala Breeder Sales. A man named Bob Gulick, who's the father of this trainer, Jimmy Gulick, answered it, liked what I had to say, and said he'd like to try to help me out in my endeavors to become a jockey. And the first thing he wanted me to do was to go meet his son, Jimmy Gulick, at Belmont Park, who he was an assistant trainer for Stanley Huff at the time. So this had to be in October of 1982, my senior year in high school. My parents drove me down to Belmont Park, got to meet Jimmy Gulick, who, again, was assistant for Stanley Huff with a lot of Firestone horses. So we met, and Jimmy gave me a helmet cover from the Firestone, a green and white helmet cover that I wore when I first went to Ocala. So, I mean, it's good. One thing I like when I do some of these tracks I'm not accustomed to doing a lot is you see a lot of names of people you haven't seen in a long time. But so Jimmy Gulick, one of the first people I ever met from the racetrack, is the trainer of this horse.
I could see why that would stick. I mean, that's really the beginning. That's the beginning of the Jeff Carl career.
Yeah, and his father, Bob Gulick, was the director of sales at OBS. Is one of the nicest men I've ever met. I think he passed away a few years ago, but he really was instrumental in helping me get started. And the whole Gulick family was just so nice to me. But this horse, back to her credentials, she's, again, solid works. She's been working at the Williston Mile. I looked that up, which is obviously right outside of Ocala. Nice solid works coming in here to debut. 8-1 in the morning line. So I went 3, 5, and 1 in the Tampa Bay 6th race.
7th race this afternoon is another maiden special weight event. This one is for 3-year-olds and up. They will go on the turf at 1 16 miles.
4, 6, and 3 here. The number 4, Special Envoy. He's one of 2 3-year-olds in this race. This is one of the first times you're going to see 3 and up this year. Of course, as we get later on in the year, they're all going to be 3 and up, but they jumped right into it at Tampa Bay Downs. And I went with the number 4, Special Envoy, based on his lone start back in November at Laurel Park, where he was off poorly in a maiden special weight event on the turf. Closed very, very well. Was 5 wide that day. Only got beat a neck. And again, this one's a Firestone horse. There we go. It's all coming full circle here. And owned and bred by the Firestones, trained by Arnaud Delacour. And again, working well for his debut. So a better start today. Let's put this 3-year-old into the top spot. And for second, I'm going to go with the number 6, Cosmic Giant, who's a firster by Giants Causeway from your friend Jonathan Shepard, Seth. And the pedigree is there. There's only 3 works that show up on his page, but one of them is a bullet work on January 29th at Gulfstream Park. So I'm certain that this horse was probably going up and down hills for a very long time somewhere at a training center somewhere. So he's probably a lot fitter than the 3 works that you see would probably show. And again, the pedigree is there, and all I need to see was 1 bullet work. Jonathan Shepard, we know, doesn't necessarily have him cranked up to win the first time out, but we talked about this either last week or the week before. So many of these high-profile trainers, Grand Motion has a horse in the race, my 3rd choice. They'll bring these horses over to Tampa Bay Downs. They just want to get that maiden broke, because many times it's hard to get into maiden races on the turf. They overfill. It's hard to kind of get into a rhythm. So they take them over to Tampa Bay Downs, where it's seemingly easier. And Cosmic Giant doesn't have to win the day. I just need him to be second. So I have him in the 2nd spot. And for 3rd, the aforementioned Grand Motion horse, Daddy in the Dark, the number 3. He's got 6 starts, no wins, 2 seconds, and 2/3. He's going to be adding blinkers for today's race. You know, maybe that makes a difference. Maybe it doesn't. He was 2nd last time at Tampa Bay and off the turfer, but before that he was even a closer 3rd on the turf. For some reason this comes off, you'd have to think he'd be a solid favorite, but I don't think there's any weather going on down there. Again, blinkers on today. I'm just a little, he hasn't gotten it done yet out of 6 starts. Probably good enough to be on the board. And again, I just couldn't go past these 3. 4, 6, and 3 in the Tampa Bay 7th race.
8th race today is a conditional claiming event. Claiming tags $8,000. The condition non-winners are 2 lifetime. Fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. They're going to go 7 furlongs.
9, 10, and 11 here. The number 9, Summer Opera, made his Tampa Bay debut and winning one when he broke his maiden on January 26th for $8,000. And just he couldn't get it done in Kentucky, ran once in Indiana, but seems to like that Tampa Bay surface. And this is a trainer and rider combination. I think pretty potent. Burnell Roan and Dean Butler. I think I have them in my mix in the next race too. They seem to be clicking on all cylinders. Those two are probably, Dean's getting on a lot of horses and probably very familiar with this stable, and he seems to do a very good job for him. So I think last time out was probably a light bulb moment for the number 9 Summer Opera. You know, again, she couldn't get it done in Kentucky. First race at Tampa Bay Downs when they dropped her in for the $8,000. She did it quite nicely, probably a light bulb moment. And sometimes when they get that maiden broke, it's easy for them to get through the next condition. I didn't see anything overly scary in here. So at 5-1, let's put the number 9 Summer Opera into the top spot. And for second, the number 10 Spring-A-Latch was the beaten favorite when stretched out to a mile and 40 yards, but was a close 3rd at 7 furlongs before that, and 7 furlongs is the distance that she gets today. Again, it's kind of been stuck in this condition for a very, very long time, so that's why I kind of went against her, even though she's got Harry Vega aboard, who I think is a very, very good rider, and the cutback certainly does help. Just again, been stuck in this condition for a long time. I'm hoping Summer Opera will be able to get the better of her today. I went 9, 10, and then 11 to Pika Pika, who was bred and owned by a name you might be familiar, Marco Castaneda. Remember Marco Castaneda?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
a jockey from probably
sure.
the 80s. I think he rode into the early 90s. Must be hanging out down in Ocala because he bred and owned this filly. I mean, this mare now. She's 5 years old. She's coming off a long layoff. She hasn't run since May of last year, where she did break her maiden at Tampa Bay Downs. She's been training at some place called the Oak Ridge Equine Center. Again, I think she's probably going to need a race over the track, but at 8-1, she's got Willie Martinez aboard, who we know is a very, very solid rider. Let's put her in the mix. 9, 10, and 11 in the Tampa Bay 8th race.
All right, the 9th race at Tampa this afternoon, another conditional claimer, $25,000 tags, non-winners at 2 lifetime is the condition. These are 4-year-olds and up, scheduled on the turf, mile and a 16th.
8, 7, and 3 here. The number 8, Take Heed, is going to be my top choice. And I know this is a name they've reused because I once rode a horse called Take Heed for Buddy Delp. In fact, it was the first horse I ever won on for Buddy Delp. Rick Wilson was originally named the ride. He just up and decided he didn't want to ride with one particular day. The rumor was he wanted to go fishing. And I'd been working a lot of
Can you do that? Just decided to go fishing one day.
Well, he called and said he was sick, but the rumor got around that Rick wanted to go fishing that day. And, but it worked out well for me because Buddy Delp, I've been working some horses for him. He says, let's give this kid a chance. The horse's name was Take Heed, and I won that day. But this Take Heed, I think, can win the 9th at Tampa Bay Downs. This is his 3rd start since returning from a layoff, and he improved very nicely from his last start. When he came off the layoff, he ran 7 furlongs at Tampa on the main track and didn't run well at all. Showed a little bit of speed, tired very badly. Then they got him on the turf, which is his preferred surface, 16,000 everyone, 2 life. Took the lead but couldn't quite hold on. So I think the 3rd start off the layoff, he should be 100% tight today. I'm not concerned with the 16,000 everyone, 2 life elevation at 25,000 everyone, 2 life. Can't be that much of a difference. I just think he's tight enough today to get the job done. For second, I went to the number 7, Ephraim S., who was beating the Dirty Nose on January 19th at the 16,000 everyone, 2 life level. As I said, I don't think this is a big jump from 16 to 25. And, that was his 3rd start. That was his 2nd start over the Tampa Bay track, so he's getting his 3rd start again. He should be really tight. Daniel Centino aboard. Kind of hard to separate those two. I just went with the higher price Take Heed on top. And for 3rd, the number 3, Galico, which I mentioned before. I think this is a good trainer, jock combo. Trainer Burnell Roan, jockey Dean Butler. He was 7 wide in his last race for this 25,000 everyone, 2 life. He did win last year. He broke his maiden over the Tampa Bay turf track, so he definitely does like that. And I'm just going to have to forgive that last race where he was fanned 7 wide, 2 wide that day, but has an inside post today. Hopefully they'll be able to save some ground and get up there for 3rd at 8-1. 8, 7, and 3 in the Tampa finale.
All of which brings us to our next break. When we come back, we'll take a look at Gulfstream Park for this afternoon. Stay tuned.
This is Steve Beck. Join me Tuesday through Saturday here on OTB TV for At the Races, my Sirius XM daily news magazine of the thoroughbred industry. Handicapping, interviews, analysis, everything you could want. 6 a.m. OTB TV.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Jeff Carl with Seth Merrill. Before the break, I gave you my selections for Tampa Bay Downs. Seth will give you his picks for today's Gulfstream Park card. The opener is 1 mile. It is a claiming event for fillies and mares 4 and up, which have never won 2 races. They're in for a claiming price of $6,250.
And just going back to yesterday at Turf Paradise, I think I had 2 on the day. It might have been 3. I didn't get a chance to chart them out, but it was a day, early in the day, I thought I was on a little bit of a roll. And then the last few races, there weren't crazy things happening, but there were some things happening that would have been horses. It would have just been a little hard for me to pull the trigger maybe. So, and I didn't call any plays of the day yesterday at Turf Paradise because I had no real confidence in that program. We'll see what we can do, because the plays over the last few days I just have been a little disappointed in. See if we can do a little something today down at Gulfstream. Now the opener, I have it 7, 6, 3, and 5. The number 7 is Lisa's Little Girl. Just one of those horses that I think has a bit of a numbers edge, a buyer's edge over the last few races. You add that into the class relief, and I think it adds up to make this horse kind of logical in here. Now, broke the maiden 2 starts back for a 12-5 tag. Did so coming from off the pace down here at Gulfstream at this mile distance. And that was the 12th start of the career. So it took a little while for the light bulb to turn on. They came out of that 12-5 maiden breaker and went into a 16 N2L. And that was just a little too deep, obviously. I think they're back down to the proper level here. And I think this horse, after having broken the maiden 2 starts back, as I say, that got over that hump, and now maybe down to a class level where this one can get back to the winner's circle. Lisa's Little Girl on top. Second spot, the number 6, Elusive Harmony. Might rebound to some of the earlier good numbers we're seeing here on the page with the class drop. This is another one that over the last couple of races has been racing against better drops, step and a half down the claiming ladder, and that should provide a wake-up call to get back to some of the numbers we were seeing maybe towards the end of spring and summer last season. So Elusive Harmony on the class drop gets some attention. And then the number 3, Aggie H. This horse bounced up to the 10 level last time and ran an okay 4th, but if you look 2 starts back, was right at this 62.50 level and ran an okay 3rd place finish. Edgar Prado returns again. So Aggie H, like the other 2, I think at this class level, probably somewhat in the comfort zone. First at Gulfstream, 7, 6, 3, and 5.
Race number 2, Gulfstream Park is 6 furlongs. It is a maiden claiming event for 3-year-old fillies. Claiming price is $35,000.
9, 5, 7, and 4. The number 19 is coming. Put in a pretty solid buyer the last time this horse was seen on dirt. Now, last start was a turf race. 3 starts back, synthetics. And in fact, that race that those 2 bookended was the only dirt race on the resume, and it was the lifetime best buyer figure. So it seems like maybe this horse is just a little more dirt meant. That day was a good 2nd place finish, so it was the best finishing position as well as the lifetime best buyer figure. So again, I like that Tina's Coming is moving back to the main track today. Second spot, Santa Mia. This is a first-time starter from Larry Pilati. He does okay first time out of the box. The sire, Wildcat Air, I like that one with first-time starters. Dan produced a sibling called Favorite Flashback that was 8th in the career debut, but then strung together a couple of wins. So got those wins pretty early. Had some other siblings, though, that took longer to win. So maybe some mixed messages from the dam. But on the sire and on the trainer, certainly I like the precociousness there. And then in the 3rd spot, Trio of Mischief, the number 7 horse, who gets a little bit of a look here on the slight drop from 50 down to 35. The last time this horse was in somewhere around this level, back in November at Churchill Downs, ran a good 2nd place finish. So just another one of those that I think is moving class-wise to the comfort zone. Second race today, 9, 5, 7, and 4.
Moving along to race number 3 at Gulfstream Park. It is 5.5 furlongs, a maiden special weight event for 3-year-olds.
And I will do a play of the day in here. I'm going to do a win place on my top pick in a 4-horse box. I have it 5, 3, 7, and 6. And again, we'll win place on the number 5, Alto Sky. It is my man, Jonathan Shepard. This one's kind of interesting. I think there's a little breeding here that makes this one kind of on the breeding side, potentially precocious. Sky Mesa on top. Dan produced a sibling called Thunder Road that won its career debut just this year at Golden Gate on January 1st, in fact. Won the career debut at 6 furlongs. Followed that up running a near-miss 2nd in a non-winners of 1 allowance out at Golden Gate back on the 25th of January. So the dam has produced some precociousness. The sire does well. And Jonathan Shepard's okay first time out of the box. His numbers don't necessarily jump off the page, but he can do it, no question about it. So I'll take a little shot with Alto Sky at what should be a decent price. We'll go win place there. In the exacta mix, the number 3, Talons of Tuscany. By Arch, I like that one as a sire precocious runners. Dan produced a sibling called Rich City Dew that won its debut, but a couple of other siblings were both unplaced in only the lone career start. Both of them only had 1 starts in their career. They were both off the board. So again, it's another one of those, damn, maybe some mixed messages, but I think the trainer and the sire attract a little bit of attention from me. And the third spot, we'll go with the number 7, Eternal Bull. Yet another first-time starter by Harlan's Holiday like that. Mike Hushin can get it done. Dan produced a sibling called Blonde Fog that won its career debut. Followed that up for Bob Baffert in 2012, running second in the Hollywood Starlet. So I think that sibling, Blonde Fog, showed plenty of precociousness. So I think Eternal Bull should be very interesting. I'm also going to use Mac West from Wayne Catalano. I like him and the sire, again, as a precocious kind of being involved with precocious runners. So we'll have that one in at what should be a decent price as well. So we'll go lightly, 4 deep with an exacta box. Take a little shot with the win place as well. Win place on the number 5 will box up 5, 3, 7, and 6.
Last fall, when I went out to Lexington for my training as a thoroughbred aftercare inspector, my flight home was from Lexington to Charlotte to Albany. And when I landed in Charlotte, I'm waiting to board the plane to Albany, sitting there waiting in the terminal, and I hear, "Hello, this is Jonathan." And I turned around, and of course, unmistakably, there was Jonathan Shepard going to get on the same plane. So he's all over the place.
Yeah. He's got
Hall of Fame trainer.
He's got the farm in Pennsylvania, and then
I'm assuming he was probably in the Carolinas because I was in Charlotte.
He
was probably in the
South
Carolinas.
Carolina, a lot of the.
Because when I heard, "Hello, this is Jonathan." I kind of tuned in. He was talking to one of his clients and saying, "I'm on my way back to Saratoga."
That's certainly one of the big stops on the steeplechase circuit, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, great trainer. Moving on to race number 4 at Gulfstream Park. 7 furlongs, maiden claiming event for 3-year-olds, claiming price of $12,500.
3, 2, 5, and 4. The number 3 is Monomoy. By Bernardini, goes out for Chad Brown. This one had the dam produced a sibling called Liberty Cap, 11th in the career debut, and then won the second start. That was over in Europe, but this one eventually came over here and was stakes placed. You know, there's a little bit on the breeding that's interesting then. Chad Brown can certainly have him ready first time out of the box, but that this one debuts for $12,500 after having been bought at auction for $85,000 raises some red flags, but maybe they're just realistically spotting this one. I think there is a little breeding. Chad Brown can have him ready, but there are some question marks on the move. But the move also means this one is not going to have any world beaters to face. So I'll go in the direction of Monomoy, but it's a tepid selection. Second spot, the number 2, Texas Tech. Just missed when dropped to this level last time, so I think has found the comfort zone at $12,500. The number 5, Take My Time, in the third spot. Trainer Jane Sabelli, pretty solid first time off the claim, and they did claim this one last time and claimed it for this 12-5 tag, so comes right back at the claiming level where this horse has already done well before. Sabelli, good first time off the claim. They add the blinkers, number of things that make this one interesting. In the fourth, 3, 2, 5, and 4.
It's going to take us to race number 5 at Gulfstream Park to the turf course, 7.5 furlongs. It is a claiming event for 4 and up, which have never won 2 races, and the claiming price is $20,000.
9, 8, 5, and 7. The number 9 is Ginger Goose, who just has a little bit of a buyer edge on this field. I think this is the one, looking at the numbers, stands out. And every once in a while you get a horse like that in a race who just has the numbers that are a little bit better than the rest of the field. That's the case with Ginger Goose. Second spot, the number 8, Abel Baker Charlie. 2 of the last 3 have been pretty good. The question mark is to move back to the turf. This is a horse without a whole lot of turf experience and certainly no turf success yet. But, again, seems to be in some pretty good form. Probably a good fit at this class level as it's dropping a little bit. And so I think Abel Baker Charlie could be kind of interesting in here. But, again, the turf's a question mark. Number 5, Big Sam, in the third spot, has been in some pretty good form since moving down from the NYRA circuit to Gulfstream Park at the beginning of this year. A nice win to break the maiden, then followed up in the N2L condition. We had an okay third. So again, seems to have found a little bit of a comfort zone right down here in South Florida. And then don't forget, the horse I have 4th in my mix, the number 7, Startup, could be a little bit of a pace play and say, catch me if you can. Speed, always dangerous. I just thought there was potentially a couple others that could challenge early. But if Startup manages to squirt away a little bit early, could be tough to reel in late. In the 5th, 9, 8, 5, and 7.
And we're going to take another break. We have set selections for Gulfstream races 1 through 5. When we come back, we'll round out today's Gulfstream Park card. So please stay tuned. You're watching the OTB TV Network.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right. The 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Shamrock Showdown on March 1st. So sign up today, online at CapitalOTB.com, or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB television network.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. At the top of the show, I mentioned that honor code Shug McGahee's nice 3-year-old was scheduled to work this morning, according to Mike Welsh down in South Florida from the Racing Forum. He most certainly did. 3/8 and 35 and change, out in 47, out 5/8 and 101. Seemed to gallop out very well, so I'll move forward for honor code. Seth, I still think he has a lot to do. I think he's got way behind. So we'll have to, remains to be seen whether or not honor code.
At this point, he's a little ahead of shared belief.
Yeah, a couple of, top Derby contenders have gotten behind the 8 ball, and we are starting to run out of time. They're going to need to run soon. So we'll see how it works out, but it's good to see honor code back in the work tab. Let's move along to race number 6 at Gulfstream Park. 1 mile on the turf. It is a claiming event for fillies and mares 4 and up. Claiming price of $16,000.
8, 2, 1, and 7. The number 8 is feeling better today. This one, as I looked, Gamaliel Vasquez is the trainer, showing no stats. Previously trained by Kirk Zaidi, owned by Frank Calabrese. And so I'm wondering, and I never did find an answer to this, was this an assistant to Zaidi and is Zaidi on a suspension? I looked it up. I couldn't find it. But I did find out the trainer, Gamaliel Vasquez. I knew that name sounded familiar.
Yeah, it does sound familiar.
He's the guy who was tied in with Michael Gill for a while, for a long
there you
while.
go. Penn National?
I don't know whether he's a Penn National guy. He was kind of before that. Gill at one point retired and came back, and Vasquez was his trainer a little bit before and after that situation. I'm not sure he was at the end of Penn National or not, but certainly he was tied in for a long while with Michael Gill, which certainly had him on the racetrack with a lot of horses, and he got a lot of wins, but it was a controversial association, no question about it. So again, that just caught my attention a little bit. But this one, having raced for Zaidi most recently down at Gulfstream Park, just seems to be in some pretty good form. It seems like a solid fit with this bunch. And I will continue to find out if maybe he was tied in. Is he now gotten back into the game and Calabrese has moved some horses? Or again, is Zaidi on suspension and this was maybe an assistant? I'll still try to suss that out a little bit. I couldn't find anything specifically out about that. Second spot, the number 2, Kiss the Stars. I just might try to speed pop him. The last couple of times this horse was seen on turf, speed was the name of his game, so I would expect that to be the situation again today. And then the number 1, Dance with Gio, getting some class relief in here, and I think with the class relief should fit particularly well with this bunch. So we have in the 6th, 8, 2, 1, and 7.
Moving on to race number 7 at Gulfstream Park. 5 furlongs on the turf. It is a maiden special weight event for 3-year-old fillies.
I have it 7, 3, 5, and 2. I think Zendaya, the number 7 horse, is clearly going to be the one to beat. A couple of nice starts so far for Christophe Clement at this 5-furlong turf distance. Nice improvement, start 1 to start 2. Start 2 was right here at this Gulfstream Park meet earlier, back in the beginning of December. And again, nice improvement there number-wise. So I think Zendaya, 3rd start of the career, should be primed to run another good one, and it could be good enough to get it done here, as experience does count. Number 3, the Careless Cat in the 2nd spot for me goes out for Graham Motion. This one unseen since early in the Saratoga meet. Ran an okay race in the career debut. It looked like one to maybe benefit from education-wise. Now is laid off, could come back with a little added maturity. I think there's some breeding here to say this one will be a nice runner. And again, with the education of the first start under the belt today, could be even better. 3rd spot, the number 5, Wickedness. First-time starter by Warfront from Mike Hushin, so I think there's a little nature and nurture at work here to make this one interesting. And then the 4th spot, I have the other Christophe Clement. Moving in from the claiming ranks, Henry Song may be up against it a little bit, but I'll trust Christophe Clement. Knowing what he's got in the favorite in this race, to know what he's got with Henry Song as well, so I'll throw that one in the mix as well. And I will also do a 4-horse exacta box in here. You're going to have to look up and make sure the odds hold up, because it's all going to be based on the morning line odds. We're right on the razor's edge if those numbers hold up. If those numbers start to float down a little bit, the 4-horse box isn't going to make as much sense. But I'll call it a play today. 7, 3, 5, and 2.
Moving along to race number 8 at Gulfstream Park, mile and 16th on the turf. Maiden claiming event for 3-year-old fillies. The claiming price is $25,000.
6, 4, 8, and 3. The number 6 is Beth Ann's Kitten, and we're just going with the connections here and the class move. This is a Ken and Sarah Ramsey owned horse, trained by Mike Maker, moving from maiden special weight to maiden claiming company. That very, very potent move. And off the 2 latest starts up at Turfway in maiden special company, I think the move down to the $25,000 tag is going to prove very, very beneficial. And again, I've said it a number of times before. Sometimes the moves like this may raise some red flags, but when it's Ken Ramsey, I think he's just shooting to get a check mark in the W column. So we'll put Beth Ann's Kitten on top. 2nd spot, we'll go to the number 4, Great Cross. This one taking another class drop. Has been in the claiming rank since the beginning of the career, but started out at $65,000. The last 3 starts at $35,000. And today comes for $25,000. Well, the last couple of $35,000 were okay 3rd place finishes. So I think this step down the claiming ladder could move this horse up a little bit. And then the number 8, Showtime Samurai. Improved nicely in the 2nd start with the move to the turf. So it was probably a combination of having the first start education, showed a little ability on the turf for Mark Cassidy, and now comes back 3rd start of the career, stringing a couple of starts together after a little bit of a break towards the end of last year, and gets another little bit of class relief today. So Showtime Samurai should be competitive. In the 8th, 6, 4, 8, and 3.
That's going to take us race number 9 at Gulfstream Park, 6 furlongs. It is a claiming event for 3-year-old fillies. The claiming price is $20,000.
8, 3, 1, and 2. The number 8 is La Chuchi, and this one goes first off the claim for a trainer who does fairly well in that area. Claimed for 16, moves up to 20, but I'm just looking at the rest of this field and where this horse has run earlier in the career. I don't think this bump up to 20 is going to be any problem. So we'll put La Chuchi on top. 2nd spot, the number 3, Tough to Stop. Broke the maiden last time in a first off the claim effort. I think that, and again, it's the aforementioned Gamaliel Vasquez and Frank Calabrese. And that's what the 2 horses that made the move from Zaidi to Vasquez were both Frank Calabrese horses on the card. So again, I'm not sure whether this is just a situation of Calabrese has moved a couple of horses over to this guy to get him back in the game, or it's a suspension for Zaidi. Obviously, there's not enough information here with both of these being owned by the same guy. So again, we'll try to find a little more on that. But this horse, again, first off the claim last time, nice win. I think is going to be competitive with this bunch as well today. And then in the 3rd spot, the number 1, Friends Pro. Drops off the Churchill Downs claim. Claimed last time for 40. Comes back for 20 today. That may raise some red flags, but just has the look to me of maybe being a little properly spotted today. So in the 9th, 8, 3, 1, and 2.
Finale at Gulfstream Park, race number 10, 1 mile on the turf. It is a maiden claiming event. Fillies and Mares 4 and up, and the claiming price is $25,000.
7, 3, 8, and 10. The number 7 is Bet on Kitten for Ken and Sarah Ramsey, Mike Maker. Another one that's dropping class-wise for the Maker-Ramsey combination. And as I say, I think Ken just wants to get some W's down here at Gulfstream. Number 3, Devious Maddie in the second spot. Showed some nice improvement since moving to the turf, finishing position and number-wise. So I think this horse has found a home on the grass. And then in the third spot, the number 8, Transformer. By Rock Hard 10, first-time starter that I think could be a little bit interesting. This one had a sibling called Union Victory. Second in the debut, then first, then second, then first. So that one was pretty precocious. If Transformer winds up to be the same, could be up there in the hunt, offering a little bit of juice today. I'm going to wind up the day. I'm going to call a 4-horse exacta box in here, just on the fact that I think Transformer at 12-1 on the morning line, I think that value may hold up, and that horse could certainly get up there in the exacta mix. I have it in the third spot, but it wouldn't shock me to see the first-time starter do better. So we'll tread lightly with a little exacta box to wind up the day. In the 10th, 7, 3, 8, and 10.
And there you have it, Seth's selections for today's Gulfstream Park card. Earlier in the show, I gave you my picks for Tampa Bay. In case you missed any of our selections, you can go to our website, capitalotb.com. You'll be able to click on the upper right-hand corner, and you get all of our selections. Also want to let you know what we have in store for you on air today at Capital OTB Channel 12. We're going to start out 12:25 at Tampa Bay Downs, move on to Laurel Park, then Gulfstream, Beulah, Turf Paradise, Dover Downs, Buffalo Raceway, Northfield Park, finishing up at Pompano. Also, if you need to see go on our website, capitalbets.com. That is our new, it's been up for a few months now. Very easy, state-of-the-art website. If you're not part of it, I would absolutely invite you to join capitalbet.com as a way to wager at home as you're watching the races in the comfort and warmth of your own home. Great way to follow the racing and to bet along. Coming up, top of the hour, we have Seth with Racing Across America. Seth, who are your guests today?
Regular visit from Jeremy Plonk, horseplayernow.com, and Countdown to the Crown. We'll get a look at some of the 3-year-old action from the past weekend. Also in the studio, Brian Nadeau, also of horseplayernow.com. We're going to take a look at maybe some of the Tampa action this afternoon, and then also get some of his thoughts on some of the weekend stakes as well.
Yeah, Brian does a great job. Happy to have him in here today. Once again, thank you for joining us on Handicappers Report. For Seth Merrill, I am Jeff Carl. Have a great day at the races.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.